Our next presenter is Joy O'Shell, the Director of Outreach and Marketing for the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center. She's going to tell us a bit more about what they're doing and how it relates to our program today. Joy, nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Dr. Drax.
Take it away.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much to the Karaoke Summit for, one, being in Knoxville today, and two, for having such great presenters, but also three, having such incredible staff out there. So in front of me, there are legions of people who are trying to bring you incredible information, and I hope I can add to that conversation a little bit. So for background, I'm going to come at this from a little different perspective. I am from Knoxville area, rural originally, but I moved away 17 years ago. And now I'm going to fast forward to say I was living in New York City and trying to move back home when I first Googled music companies in Knoxville, and the first search result that I got was Sonox Studios. So I cold called Joe Von Gieri, sitting in New York, and I just asked him, what is happening in Knoxville? And oh my goodness, he told me everything and more that I could have expected. So I'm representing Knoxville Entrepreneur Center today, and this is our background. Thank you, Tony, for speaking in front of the MediaWorks background. But I'm going to speak to you today from a person who's been in the music industry for the past 17 years, doing digital licensing especially. Before I moved back home, I was in electronic dance music. And if there is a kindred spirit to the karaoke business, I hope you will look at DJs and electronic dance music and what's happening with that area. I don't have a background in dance music, and I didn't have a background in karaoke. I sang my first karaoke song just a couple weeks ago after our MediaWorks class ended, and it was with Michael from Karaoke, and you're going to hear about those guys later on. It's amazing what they're up to. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, and two, I want to give you all some encouragement, because from the electronic dance music perspective, licensing, and I'm so glad Tony spoke first, because it's challenging to talk about legal and licensing stuff right away. It's more fun to talk about the fun parts of the business. But as Dr. Drax mentioned, it sounds like the karaoke industry needs what was happening in electronic dance music, which is people started banding together. And if you look at what happened with dance music, I was working at Beatport specifically, you saw DJs banding together with retailers, banding together with tech makers, banding together with labels, artists, publishers. It takes a village to legally license the amazing quality content that each one of you is creating and performing as part of your businesses. Knoxville Entrepreneur Center is based in Knoxville, but we are part of a network across the entire state of Tennessee. Tennessee is a music state. We grow it here. It's in the water. It's in the mountains. It's inescapable. It's what we do. We create content. Before I was at Beatport, I was at Amazon doing music licensing. I was at AOL doing radio licensing. And I have to say that always at the top of our charts was karaoke content. The customers want karaoke content. But trust me, I know how challenging it is to license it and to make incredibly quality music. So I want to encourage you that what you are experiencing right now today is a trend that's happening throughout the state and also across our industry, that we are getting together, we're sharing information, we're helping grow the business, because there are people like me that still haven't done karaoke, but then there are people all over the world who love it, and it's an incredible, valuable business. I think there's been some hesitation in the past few years for investors to invest in music in general, because it's challenging. The licensing and the legal side of it is expensive to maintain. The databases that you need, the infrastructure, it's not easy. But I can only look at dance music, which I was in for 3 years doing their licensing and legal affairs, and I can tell you that it's happening and it's doable. And it can happen for karaoke too. The challenge is talking about it and getting together and having these summits. So the way we're doing it here locally is we're banding together through our local entrepreneur center. In whatever state you might be in, you will hopefully have a community resource that supports small businesses, or at your community colleges or at your universities. Find them, because they are part of a broader network a broader base of people who are trying to bring the music industry back out of the digital slump that started, and it's working. It's working. But it only works if we all talk together, meet together, got to have FaceTime. It's so important. The most important thing I learned about the relationships in dance music was getting together and maintaining them. Sometimes email's not enough, you got to pick up the phone. So I just want to encourage you, I'm not sure where you're all based and from, but each one of you is a business. Each one of you is an entrepreneur. Each one of you has incredible content to share. And we want you to do it. And we want you to invest in it. And we want to grow the pie globally, because it's already happening. But it has to happen at the community level first, and then at the state. So I want to talk a little bit about our incredible sponsors that support the program that we have at KEC called MediaWorks. I wasn't familiar with MediaWorks. When I was trying to move back home, I was talking to Joe Vangiri, and he introduced me to someone named Jonathan Sexton. And so I'm learning it's about meeting the people who are on the ground, trying to make it happen in your local community. Jonathan is the entrepreneur in residence at the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center, KEC for short. It's only about 2 years old. And what we found is so many of the people walking through the door said they have incredible passion and drive to create music, but one, they don't know how to make their idea into a business, and two, they don't have the funding, and three, they're not sure about the licensing. So MediaWorks was born to support the legions of creatives that are in our state, that are in our city alone. And this is our second year, and we're already planning for next year. It's been an incredible success. And it brings people like the Vangiris, who also have other ideas. Kathy Vangiri is in Nashville right now, talking about Sing and Spell. That is a MediaWorks company too. So what we're able to do is, if we communicate and talk to each other, then we work through our entrepreneur centers. We're sponsored by Launch Tennessee, which is the umbrella company, well, federal entity for where we get a lot of our funding. These are grant funding. It's not forever, and so we have to use this time to not be a startup and then create a viable business out of the entrepreneur program itself. And I think Sean Yeager is going to speak about that a little bit later. We'll have folks from the Nashville Entrepreneur Center talk about how they're doing it. But I just want to encourage you that what you're doing in karaoke is the future. It's the future of entrepreneurship, and it's the future of music. And when I was standing at the events for electronic dance music, and I saw the DJ pick up the mic and start singing into it, and I see lyrics, that is karaoke. It's evolving, and we have to evolve with it. We have to pay attention to when giant platforms like YouTube start publishing lyrics. When Joe was describing Karaoke Cloud and some of his other services, the thought that went through my mind was, oh my goodness, how is he going to license all of this? It's hard, but it's doable. And the way to do it is, one, to have the connections, two, to maintain the relationships, but three, maybe you have to write a giant check at some point. So where are you going to get it? We highly recommend working through your local entrepreneur center, going through the programs. We call them an accelerator because it's designed to accelerate your business from startup to real business. Or if you're in business and you want to change, we can help you do that too. So just wanted to thank Joe and everyone at SoNox for letting us talk during the Karaoke Summit about what's happening in Knoxville. We think it's a model across the state. We work closely with the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. We share resources, we share information. The same thing is happening in Memphis, it's happening in Chattanooga, it's happening in Northeast Tennessee, in Kingsport and Johnson City. So if we can recommend anything to you, it's look at your local resources, band together, go to the events like the Karaoke Summit, talk openly, meet frequently with the publishers. That became my full-time job. I started as legal affairs in general, and eventually my full-time job was just doing publishing. So I know the amount of work that's required, but I also know it's doable because we did it. And if we can do it in electronic dance music, you guys are ahead of the curve for doing it in karaoke. So, with that, I'm going to hand over the mic and to thank you all again and encourage you and remind you that each of you is a business. This is a viable business. But you have to talk, and you have to work together. And you have to work with state or whoever resources are right in your own backyard. Grow where you're planted, grow internationally, but start right now. Thanks.